कैसे हैं आप लोग सब? ऑल गुड, फाइन। और क्या चल रहा है इसके अलावा? और राजा क्या हो रहा है तुम्हारा? हैं? फॉग? वो देखा भी रिसेंटली व्हाट हैपेंड बिटवीन दिस इंडिया एंड कनाडा. देयर इज अ डिप्लोमेटिक रो बिटवीन बोथ ऑफ द नेशन. Okay, this terrorist or the Khalistani terrorist, which India has declared that person in 2020. Okay, they have been killed by this. Okay, exactly. And this, the Canadian authority have accused Indian government to kill that terrorist, and he was a Canadian citizen. And here in India again happened a Punjab, the Congress leader of Punjab have been murdered by Khalistani supporter whose name is Arsh Dalla. Fine. Fine, this is exactly, and this happened in this week. Now, the Canada has expelled the Indian ambassador or this chief of their research analysis wing. Okay, and they have India has reciprocated the same. So this is going on, and this is happening at the time of G20. So is this good for? I mean, this is a good for India or?
Actually, G20 New Delhi declaration, India didn't much represent about the Russian-Ukraine war. Only the one statement regarding.
Yeah, this was exactly.
Black Sea Green Initiative was want to start getting to middle pathway. So this created an insult for Ukraine also, and Ukraine and Canada they are more connected.
More connected.
And that is what Canada was saying that how can they can be like didn't represent this war situation in this declaration because in Bali declaration was very well represented.
Yes,
but
yes.
Here it was not an Ukrainization, so Russia was lauding us, like appreciating us.
Appreciating us.
So
but this is like
indirect,
we have a close friendship with Russia,
yes,
and we follow this strategic independence in this realm. So we cannot anger Russia in order to side or taking side of this Western-led war, which is being like you are talking about the.
Zelensky has also very used offensive regarding Chandrayaan, the Indians are doing
This Ukrainian, I mean, their public advisor, I think, to their, they have said that this, they have a low intellect. They have sent to their moon, but
they should not comment like this open statement, like saying.
Okay, this is all about the war of this narrative. Okay, this is all about narrative.
Politicians are from the beginning.
Zelensky, yeah. He was not having that much experience in this political. I know. This is what. Exactly. This person has said this. This is also an area of this international ethics or the morality in terms of this international ethics. So this question could be asked. Ethics is a very much application. So the main motive of mine was to ignite this thinking, this international ethics exactly with the row between Ukraine and this India and between Russia, and this all comes into this international ethics. What should be there and what exactly the value which guide this international ethics. So this is again now
Friendship because yes, Russia and India was
old friends. Yes, definitely valuing ethics. At the same time, India as a nation or a democratic nation preaches what? A democratic world order. A democratic world order. A multilateralism.
And moreover, there was a treaty when United States of Soviet Russia got bifurcated that
yes,
they
yes.
will never enter into NATO. But
Yes.
In the sense, Ukraine is breaking that treaty, right? So it's.
This is because that nation, Ukraine भी गलत नहीं है. This that nation is in frustration exactly. Okay. So वहाँ पे क्या है कि this Ukraine also he wants to do everything. He wants to castigate India. Why this India is an emerging nation? Why it took side of this, mainly of this Russia, and who has become a new imperialist forces. For exactly this Russian annexation of Crimea is considered as what? This is a blot on this international order exactly because this international word or this Westphalia model of state, when this come into this reality, it has been said what each nation will honor the sovereignty of everyone. This is the order exactly, and India also preaches the same. We don't want to interfere into the internal matters of any of this, but at the same time, international ethics or international principles runs for the very basic of your self-interest. It means the national interest come first. Everybody works behind this background, and exactly this shift has been seen as India has started from this idealism to realism. Earlier, the Nehruvian era was idealism. Okay, that's why we haven't this taken this seat of UN Permanent Council, though it was offered to India. Okay, but now India's foreign policy more on realism. We follow this strategic independence in this realm. So हमें justify करना सीखना है बस चीज. Things are like international. देखो ethics में होता है या फिर international area में nothing is like to order. जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस. It means those who have the power कर लो तुम कुछ करना है.
So when was the US permanent membership offered to you?
To India, yes, this was offered to India.
You-
On this basis of its size, the democratic was India's also at that time of when India got independence from the British, it was a big size. Though the situation per capita income was very much low, but the size of India, the sheer size of it exactly.
So was that decision good or bad?
This is contextual again. This is again because India was having this load of shouldering this leadership of third world countries or the South cooperation, non-aligned movement. But also India has was pressure. In fact, you can't make this Nehru responsible for everything, because also we don't wanna praise this. We got independent from this colonial masters, from the British, and from this very hangover, you don't wanna pursue a policy which should side any of this power in the world. They wanted a free, because India that time couldn't afford to go into this war and any kind of these things. So they have followed this. This was a rational chosen policy, not to side anyone, just focus on our development. Though we will try to set this order by the idea of idealism. This is all about idealism. So many of this count Nehru, this times exactly what is exactly this times. In fact, make that person incorrect many of this times, but he was not incorrect by if you see this background grossly, because nothing is gross. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता कि nothing black and white. It lies in between gray area. Fine. So come on. From this discussion, come to this recommendation of this value based. We have discussed the need for value based education in India is very much necessary. Earlier, the Western education system was based on value free approach. Okay, they were teaching you the science, philosophy, everything, but not teaching this value. What should be the rule with the value? So different. So we have seen this rises in crime against women, rise in the crime or child abuses. Okay, so such child delinquencies are the example of exactly our failure of our system. Fine. So education should be value based. Okay, and this is also given in the words of Gandhi, and also many of this committee has recommended the same. This Kothari Commission and Prakash Committee on Religious and Moral Instruction. So whenever you write this answer, for example, what is the issue or the challenges with this Indian education system? So you will put an argument with respect to the value based education system. Fine. So this is, I mean, you have to use this. Now this recommendation or this value-based education, it must be integrated to the whole process of education and basic human values to be encouraged in a classroom and teaching. You have to deconstruct the wrong values. For example, the materialism, biasness, hatred towards certain section. These values exactly patriarchy, this aspect which are there in the child. Okay. So this should be averted. Again, teacher here can play the role of as a leader. They can play as a role model for them. Playful learning for inclusion of the value. Many of this value aspect, ethics aspect should be inculcated among the kids by having a inventions. For example, this teaching should be mixed with the practical reality. This ethics should be instilled by practical reasoning. Through a playful mode, it should be instilled among the children. Fine. Again, this is a holistic approach. This is what exactly here in this ethics inculcation, you have to follow the life cycle approach. It's not only you have, for example, at this point, for example, you have reached to the graduation, and here I'm start teaching you all those ethics. For example, here to become an IAS officer, you'll given you a paper, ethics paper 4, and from here, just after studying this, you'll become a very ethical officer. Is it so? Ethics is what exactly this value, it takes time to develop. In fact, it has a background. Getting my point? So this all develop, as we have seen from this Kohlberg's idea of moral reasoning, it develops into stages. So this exact stages from pre-conventional level to post-conventional level, exactly these all are stages through which it follows, and this is exactly is what life cycle approach. It starts from the family, the moment the person is born. Fine. and also technology and the value. This idea, there should be a trade-off between this technology and a value-based education, because many of the time this technology is also a boon or a bane. This also makes you to deviant or makes you to do something which is not confounded by the society or by the state. Still you are being encouraged through this, and you have seen many of these influences of social media. In earlier classes I have told you what are this, a person is hailing this murder of a girl because she cheated on her, and who gave that person a right to take the life. This has been understood. This impunitive environment in the whole of this country is problematic. This is very much problematic. They should be taught, they should respect the elders, they should respect the women, and whole of this bad value should be disconstructed. Okay, and this is should be from this education purpose. Okay, so here we have to analyze or overall make an overhaul of this whole process of value transmission through education system. Fine. So again, this comes to the role of society. It's exactly same education. If I say society's wall is a macrocosm, or this is what a larger set under which all these subsets come. Education, you are going to school, this is also comes into the society. Family is also a basic unit of the society. So as a large at a societal level also, there should be a proper transmission of the good values. This should be based on the honesty, truthfulness, accountability, answerability. This should be there in the whole, and this should be taught through the society. Exactly as I have given the idea of materialism, many of the society, what they preaches materialism, or this wealth possession is a ultimate success, example of ultimate success. Okay, that should be deconstructed, that should be reconstructed. How? By setting many of these examples, or this value anchoring should be shifted by placing many of this example of that Somnath. Okay, so many of these examples are, and it should be done. I have discussed this word, how the society instills value in you. This is a two-way process. This is not a passive one. This is not a unilateral. This is a two-way process. Okay, the way you modify this, okay, the same way society modifies your value. This is a both. This is not like a static. Many of this time, many arguments or many thinkers, especially, this is what exactly. This individual members are only a passive unit. Okay, his behavior get molded or gets changed only as a force by the society. He doesn't have any of this bearing on the society. But many of this time, many individual, you have an example, they have also changed or set the value system in the society. The examples are Gandhi, Prophet Muhammad. Okay, so these are the what, this is exactly the way society changes your behavior or your value system. Value systems also can modify this. So there are multiple, this is a two-way or the bilateral kind of relation with the society, same as a mirror, society as a mirror. So this here societal level at very much, and you see over the period of time there is a moral erosion or the value crisis. Many of this question have been asked in the examination also, in fact the UPSC. Why there is a value crisis, in fact in this time also moral. Okay, why there is a crisis in this value crisis in the society, and we have discussed this why while discussing this morality aspect. Okay, so exactly here society has many of this role they imbibe. Although this we have discussed this everything, nothing, and societies also play this tool constructive and destructive roles also. Many of this time society play constructive role for assigning this order, stability in the society by preaching some good values. But many of this time you say there are certain culture within a culture, a different subculture promotes some other values in the society. For example, if you take this case of larger Indian society, there are sections in the society or the segment in the society which has a different culture, different from rest of the society. The culture of materialism, many of this time, this drug abuse you have seen many of the circles. Getting my point? This showing off this material wealth, this all exactly what these are the subcultures which are reflected in the value. So this also plays some deconstructive role in the society both. Now, this exactly reason for the moral erosion is what? Materialism. Idea of wealth possession, the material advancement, this ultimately considered as a ultimate value you have to stick. For example, same things going by this view of utilitarianism, the what the consequence could be the good. If you are richer, your sins are forgiven. Okay. Again, vacuum in the social cohesion and stability. This vacuum, because of many of this reason, it has a social bearing, it has a economic. This is a mix of anything. This cohesion somehow has been broken, which can be seen in the events of communal violences, caste conflict, violences against women. Fine. So these are exactly this say this social cohesion has been very much, and one of the reason is what exactly the loop-sided development of Indian society. Here we also have gaps with respect to other divide. You say regional divide, gender divide, urban rural divide. Okay, many of these divides also exist, and ultimately it gives to the ideas what this gives the sense of relative deprivation. फॉर एग्जाम्पल हम लोग सभी गरीब हैं, ठीक है, तो हमको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, सब गरीब, अरे तुम भी नंगे मैं भी नंगा, क्या दिक्कत है, ऑल आर हैप्पी, तू भी दो रोटी खा रहा है मैं भी दो रोटी खा रहा हूँ, फाइन, वी आर ओके. द मूवमेंट इन अ ग्रुप, फॉर एग्जाम्पल राजा हैव बिकम द ट्रू राजा, is all this wealth. Okay, the suddenly would happen would that in this social grouping he has this power at the prestige, he is having all those material things which can really bend anyone to against his will. Fine, in that case you will feel like, oh, you will have some kind of jealousy. हमारे साथ तो पड़ता ही था यार, ऐसा भी तो कुछ नहीं था, पता नहीं कैसे पैसा दे दिया भगवान ने, क्या ही कर सकते हैं. ऐसा मैं नहीं बोल रहा, I want कि तुम बहुत अमीर बनो. Fine. So this is exactly this leads to what sense of relative deprivation. So exactly what happened in the society, this issue of communalism, this issue of regionalism, all kind of this ism which exists in the society, this is depends upon what? This is a reflection of sense of relative deprivation. Why there is a civil rife in the state of Manipur? Why there is a issue public order in the state of Tripura? Fine, this is currently going on. This is the main reason rooted it was loop-sided development. One community, one region, or one language group is at this ladder of economic ladder, they are this, but the rest of this one are they are deprived.
Religion and their language.
Both at the heart of this, both, like exactly if I take the case of Manipur, okay, so Manipur has the issue of what? Metis one side. Metis are their dominant community. Those who lives in the plain, mostly they lives in the plain, and versus the hill tribes. This is group of more than 30 tribes residing there. So they are what exactly this idea, this Metis groups are demanding what? They're wanting this reservation, that is ST. They have already this SC reservation, but they want this ST reservation, and this ST reservation now they are demanding. They say we have a culture, specific culture. Okay, on this also have the geographical. So our language should be protected by giving us this, and also High Court also has sanctioned this. But this demand or this setting up by the government has infuriated this hill tribe. Why? They saw that this when this Metis who are the dominant, they are represented in every political, economic, social, at every their language. The Metis is the official language of the state. At every count, they are represented according to their population. Fine, but this tribe is what they are blocking their demand. They shouldn't be given because of this. Would lead to what? There are another underprivileged, okay, underdevelopment of the hill tribe. Okay, because earlier they used to get the quota of SC, they'll get the quota of now ST, or they are more dominant in nature. So this also is what. And here is also what Methi has a problem. Methi in the plain there is no restriction to buy the land, but in the hill there is a restriction to buy the land. Right, to preserve this identity of the tribal. So now what this tribal are coming to the valley and they're buying the land, no issue, but they cannot buy the land. So they have seen their shrinking of their, so this is all exactly at the heart of what? This is what land or the economic mode of production. This is what exactly socio-economic divide is there. If there's a no divide, there is a proper distribution of it, there won't be any kind of communalism, regionalism, nothing. Why this eastern nation, Jharkhand, Odisha, they have an issue with this. Most of the minerals reserves are situated in this state. the state or the central government takes these minerals, okay, and this the fruit of this mineral extraction is reached to the developed states such as Gujarat, Maharashtra, electricity production. But these states are underdeveloped. So the many of these times lead to what? Son of the soil theory. These Tamilians have been beaten during this Mumbai. They started with the son of soil. तो अभी होता है ना कि बिहारी लोग बोलते हैं भैया. They started with this word Tamil in a Mumbai. So this all exactly this ism, all this communalism, regionalism, that's roots on this idea of loop-sided development of the country. So one of this argument you will put in this, whatever these issues of this. So you have to give this socio-economic aspect. Fine. Now this is what again moral degradation. This is all growing cynicism between right and duties, materialism tendency, moral degradation and violence. The failure of religious leader, also the community leaders exactly. Okay, so this is one of the failure exactly. This leader are now very much parochial in nature. They have radical. This is radical is different thing. They are very parochial. They consider or the development only with specific to particular community, a particular region. They are missing into this all India outlook. Okay, the sense of belongingness they're missing, and here they fail exactly this religious leader, because still as Gandhi have said, our country, this most of this population are religious in nature. There are very much traditional values are uprooted in them, rooted in them. So if they have to, you can make this energy in a right direction if you use this, okay, religion and other things. So exactly this again, social media is a double-edged sword. It cuts both the ways. It has a problem, also it has a what? It has a benefit, but it has an issue. Earlier what happened? This issue, for example, any of this local issue used to be restricted at that local place. One district, two district, three. Now a local, in fact, this local news can create a national-wide uproar for any of this issue. For give you the example of this, in my districts, adjacent districts is called Dumka. Okay, what happened in that place? In that place, there was an issue of this interfaith marriage, or the marriage was the couple involved. This they have made it this issue of love jihad. What happened? The guys were from the Muslim community, and this women, this girl from another community. So what happened exactly? This when this father of that lady came to know about the relationship, oh, so her father tried to ablaze that girl or the burn. Okay, so in that because she got hurt and she was hospitalized. His father framed the whole this angle of this. That guy came and he poured the kerosene on this girl, and it was set dash into the fire. And for the whole, it was a very local issue, and this was a small law and order issue. But that small issue has been circulated on social media, and you know this national leader of these people, this Kapil Mishra of this Gandhi, they have this Bajrang, that all they have gone into this small area. That state or that place has seen the curfew for 10 days exactly. So the social media has created what now? They have made this radicalization or this moral. Okay, so this is exactly the issue. Bystander apathy. Again, we all are lot who are the consumers of this violences. We don't have these values exactly. When we see anybody is dying just for the law, you just pass by. Because this life of industry level, and this exactly makes you to learn what? Just focus on the goal. Dunya bhad mein jaye, jane do. So this bystander apathy exactly, because you are very much habitual to consume such news. This is everyday affairs. If you see in this newspaper, a woman has been raped. Okay, there's an issue of child abuses. There's an issue of murder. There's issue of robbery, and you are come through every day. So this has become a common affair. ये तो होता ही रहता है in India. So this exactly gives you, it's make you over the period of time insensitive towards such things, unless until this happens to you. Fine.
So sometimes people ignore just not to get involved, because अगर दो लोग का बीच में होता रहता है, कोई अगर बीच में या तो बाद में अगर police proceedings होगा, court proceedings, so he will be also included in that.
Exactly.
That's far more reason to just.
This is foremost reason they don't want to put into this trouble exactly, because the whole society is disorder exactly. This should be bad. That's why this should be this exactly. For example, this whistleblower law we're talking about, the suggestion you can give. This should be brought by the government, because the government has to put exactly, you have to, government is the role of the government is to promote a positive value. If somebody is trying to perform this role of good Samaritan, okay, they want to come, okay, so why should you encourage them? They should be given proper political protection. Fine, because this is a bit difficult. Okay, now again the decline in the values increase, greed, corruption, exploitation, degrade. I'm saying this what corruption is a functional very much. We all accept this corruption. Somehow also I'm reaching here, but also have used this medium many of time to get things done. Fine, in many of this occasion. This is exactly we consume this. This has become functional also. So we have so all effort should be done exactly to eradicate such, and this should be done by at value levels. So this is very much necessary to inculcate such values. Fine, guys. This is example of the value erosion. Fake news. You can see many of this fake news is there. Sensationalism, especially the journalism in this sensational medias. Media is the fourth pillar of the democracy. It should what? Media shouldn't be like they should give the opinion. Media is what exactly? Media should analyze any news, should put its positive and negative. It should be left at your wisdom to decide who is wrong and who is right exactly. But here is what exactly their opinionated views should be, and there is like for the same thing I am putting my words into your mouth. So this public exactly this public wisdom has seen a moral degradation, has seen a decline. Whatever you can say, कुछ भी कह सकते हो. I was seeing as like मैं को देख रहा था. There was a panel member in that group in that news discussion. That person was advocate. So he was okay. He was saying जरूरत क्या है. He was talking in this issue was going on JNU issue. Okay, he so क्यों हम why I'm like spending that much of crores on this research. Okay, on this research students क्या करेंगे पढ़ा के उनको अफ्रीका स्टडीज में what they'll do after studying this African studies, while do the what kind of research would be done there. So they don't have no कि what is this purpose of whole of it. वो बोलेंगे क्या करेंगे हिस्ट्री पढ़ा के, this is what exactly what is the meaning of the history, सब सब्जेक्ट को खत्म कर देना चाहिए. Only thing should be what? Science. This all the social sciences. This exactly if this emerging times, if I say at this time of this industrial IR 4.0 exactly this AI or robotics driven world, we need more of such expert in terms of this social sciences, because this as the technology will flood into this, we will also this technology will also change our social interaction or the behavior. Many of this time if you say for example industrial revolution, same thing. It was a what, a change in this whole production method. Okay, or the societal way of production has changed dramatically, but this dramatized or this technological invention in the society has led to the problem in other aspect of the society. Though it was considered what a rational thing, a good thing, a positive in sense, you have seen a rise in a technology invention in production, but it lead to this rise in prostitution, rise in crimes, child delinquency, slum development. Why these are the problems? And to get this answer, who will? Because ultimately we are the human. This is more important to adapt to the system or to make a system. This is not like you have reached to the moon, but still this most of the people are suffering. Fine. So this is very much necessary. So this what exactly fake news. And this fake news is very much because this is information IT revolution. Everybody has a right to, everybody has a fundamental right to get a right information. If you are being given to this information wrongly or in a very misrepresentative form, this should be liable to be punished. This should be the crime in a democracy, if I say. Because the root cause, this base of this democracy is what? If I, what is this base of this democracy? What is this base of democracy? Informed citizenry. Informed citizen. This is the very basic of this democracy to sustain. What is this three basic, in fact, for this democracy to sustain? In fact, India's democracy is considered as a miracle. Because when this happened, this viceroy was saying this, Simon comes and come on, making constitution or to rest in this. In fact, this last PM of this, when India got independence of the British, said this is difficult for the India to sustain as a democratic nation. But we continued. Fine. So the basic final was exactly was this. The citizens should be literate or the informed citizen. They should be socialized into this political aspect. They should know the meaning of democracy. What is this electoral participation? And how this whole system is depend upon this idea of social contract between a state and a citizen. State is a different entity and citizens. And any of this breach or the violation of right, any of this individual, it what? This is also a common breach of the right of all. Because we all are bind with this common sense of brotherhood, and that is assigned by the political right given in the name of fundamental right, that is bill of right. Fine, this is again the state, and this is like a become monster. Everybody is left unbrindled, they'll try to usurp the power. Everybody, kisi ko chhod do. Human by nature, if I go by the words of Adam Smith, is a very selfless, is a very selfish in nature. Fine, they work in the self-interest. Fine, Adam Smith पढ़ा है कि नहीं आप लोगों ने? Okay, so this classical economics, he was the considered as the founding father of economics. He says, if you left, in fact, anything, or if you set this economic activity in the hand of invisible or in the hand of market forces, everything, there is no need of this government or any kind of involvement, he says. Though he assumed in that he was right, but he assumed that this exactly, if you left anyone to follow his self-interest, this will automatically correct the economy. But this is not the case. In reality, you have seen this issues of monopolization of the power, monopoly, crony capitalism, scams. So you have seen this exactly, this conflict of this whole idea you can see during 1930s Great Depression of India, Great Depression of USA, and again 2008 financial crisis. And this market economy which believes in this idea of an invisible hand, because what happened exactly, it has been left unbrindled, they have been unbrindled, they have been left to work freely, but lead to the, so again this Keynes come, John Maynard Keynes, he put there should be a certain kind of regulation of the government. Fine, so this exactly is what हम कहाँ से पहुंचते हुए कहाँ पहुंच गए हम लोग, respective readers and greenwashing. This exactly ethical rayon. This you can see example of voyeurism. Greenwashing is what?
Company trends that we are moving towards, we are moving and we are practicing practicing and we are taking considering the activities which are done by the company is environment friendly.
Yeah.
Actually, it is not.
Fine, exactly. This is exactly greenwashing, something the companies sell their product or the services by labeling as a eco-friendly. Now, eco-friendly, this organic thing is of the buzz, like buzzword. They are like sellable in the market. You put everything with this herbal, organic, eco-friendly, it will be sold in the market. I have seen this phenomenon. Many of these cosmetic industries I have seen, I have spotted how many is Mama Earth. Wow. And many of this Ayurveda, and many of this, like they have sprouted out, and you're like, and many of these gummies are also, they have put everything. In fact, this process is chemically induced. Still, they have put this level of eco branding. So this exactly is what greenwashing. You're just fooling the citizen or the consumers. Okay, so these are the example of value erosion and multiple example of it. You have to just put it by yourself. Fine. Again, we'll study from this here many of these thinkers or the philosopher from the life. So exactly this chapter which is 10, human value lesson from the lives and teaching of the great leaders, reformers and administrators. I mean, here we will not make any differences between, sir, again ऐसा पूछना कि sir reformer और leader में क्या फर्क है? Administrator, this all set of people who set an example or as a good value in the society, we will discuss in this, starting from the Mahatma Gandhi, then Rabindranath, and so on. Okay, so we'll study few of them which are important, which you will use, answer. Okay, and it will start with the Gandhi, because there will be no one bigger than Gandhi on the note or on the social aspect also. Fine. So exactly, guys, this is again kind of thing I've told you was this value inculcation is a chicken egg conundrum kind of thing. पहले मुर्गी आया, पहले अंडा आया, ठीक है, पहले वैल्यू के लिए आया, फिर इंसान वैल्यूज, मैन फॉर द मोरालिटी और मोरालिटी फॉर द मैन. Okay, but these guys exactly have changed this discourse of value. They have set many of this value in terms of ahimsa, satyagrah. Okay, and this was all. So we'll study from the start from this Gandhi. So Mohandas Gramchandra Gandhi, everybody know MK Gandhi, famous, and his famous book is Experiment with Truth. Based on that person is not static on his, that person was the achievement of the Gandhi. Why which things exactly makes about the Gandhi unique, or which makes Gandhi bigger than any other leader of the India, or in fact this world level? Because once Einstein said this future generation will surprised that this person really exists in the world or not. Fine. So what was the unique thing with the Gandhi? One thing, the Gandhi was exactly, he was experimenting with truth. He never hided any kind of his personal life from the public. He categorically say in the books, in fact, experimenting with many of these dark truths are also there, which is you can see many of this time. If you will study this experiment with truth, you have seen. In fact, Gandhi has slept with a young woman to test his chastity, a brahmachari. Fine. So many of these things done by the Gandhi, he has never shied away from these things, and exactly he exhibited from this experiment of truth. Exactly, he many of this positive as well as the negative. Otherwise, most of this autobiography or the biography, mostly you will find this only goody things of the things. That person was great, that person. But Gandhi never shied away from this negative. He also shown this because he shows this was a my development. In fact, till death the human learns from this. There is a correction to his value and the morality also. Okay, so you have seen many of this change in this Gandhi thought also. Once he was very much reluctant to what? He was very much reluctant to continue the national movement after Chora Chori. Okay, when this bit of violence was seen. But during this Quit India movement, that person has become silent, took a fasting for the ills done by the public. Okay, so this exactly what again this person came in 1950 January, and this also a watermark movement. Here, this event is celebrated by organizing. I want to add on this, which Divas Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. Fine, this was like Gandhi came in 1950. Okay, so this Mahatma Gandhi returned to this homeland after 2 decades in South Africa. Okay, again from there he learns many of this experiment with truth. Okay, fine, his idea of satyagraha or the passive resistance, it has been tested. Again he took a nationwide tour of the country and he initiated many of Champaran, Kheda and Ahmedabad initially, and from there he also evolved this idea of it satyagraha and non-violence. Fine, so study each of them. So this Gandhism, what Gandhism exactly is and what Gandhi says about the Gandhism. So what exactly the Gandhism is all about? हम सब पढ़ेंगे इसमें गांधी का आज. उसका his notion about the God, truth, okay, his 7 sins, fine, ahimsa, satyagraha, so that you should be having at least bit of enlarged idea of this Mohan Chandra Ramchan Gandhi, who was this person exactly. So what Gandhism is, I want to ask from you because all you are the disciple of Gandhi. I know it. तुम बताओ, तुम तो चंपा बोले नहीं सर. और गाइस आप बताइए मुस्कान, व्हाट इज गांधीज्म? ऐसे क्या होगा? ऐसे कुछ नहीं होता. बचपन से हम लोग 2 अक्टूबर मनाते आ रहे हैं. कितनी छुट्टियां ली हैं गांधी के नाम पे. वी हैव आल्सो एंजॉयड. तो यू बताना तो पड़ेगा, आज नहीं छोड़ूंगा मैं तुम लोगों को. कम ऑन, व्हाट इज गांधीज्म? फाइन, इतना ज्यादा गिल्टी फील नहीं करना है. डोंट वांट दिस लाइक व्हाट इज गांधीज्म? एनीबॉडीज? You, ma'am? Anything, you tell anything about Gandhism, whatever you know this, by just listening the words or looking the board on this. Philosophy of Gandhi. Okay, more or less, what Gandhism is. One earth, one family. This is one of the like smallest idea. What is Gandhism was overall? What this is exactly?
Very true. I don't.
You don't want to associate. Gandhi is a different thing.
So I have a different perspective of that person.
It's
So,
different thing. But what about Gandhism? You are, in fact, you have a negative or positive. This is different thing. But this is what Gandhism was all about.
Sir, Gandhism was very successful in South Africa, but not in India. According to me, it's not. He was successful in some parts,
Okay.
but not in most parts, accordingly.
How?
Sir, as he was doing fasting, you were saying, right? So always, whenever he was there, he always used to carry a goat with him.
Goat with him.
Goat.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. It was written in many of the books also.
Fine.
So in fasting, he doesn't. He just say that in fasting there should be no food, but he can drink.
Okay.
So he used to have goat milk in fasting. So that is considered as a full nutrition value, right? So in that case, no person dies if the person drinks food, whatever cause it is, and all the nutritional values that person gets.
Fine. So on this basis, you have rejected all those ideas of this Gandhi.
No, sir, not all those ideas, sir.
Then?
I'm saying that many ideas are good, but at the same time, there are so many ideas that are bad, but that never came in front. Accordingly, Jinnah also said previously that if he won't want a separate nation, that is Pakistan, if the leader would be different rather than Mahatma Gandhi, as we say, and Nehru. If it would be Subhash Chandra Bose, he was not ready to even divide the Bharat. It was there in a book.
Okay.
You can check it on Google also.
Which books you have referred it?
I will just tell you tomorrow.
Dude, it's one of things, let me tell you. This is
Jinnah's-
very much
Jinnah-
like ifs and buts of the history. If you're saying this partition happened because of Gandhi, Nehru, or his
Jinnah
aid,
said that if our leader was Subhash Chandra Bose, then I won't ask for a separate nation.
this is again
But
individual.
our leader is not in that. It was this party.
Got this, you got the point.
This
Okay,
quotation
and this
was
is
there
also,
from
you are
there.
not wrong by saying this. If the Subhas Chandra Bose has said this, he was not also wrong. Or it's like, these are what exactly the ifs and the buts of the history.
Yes.
Okay, we cannot judge this
So
past
according
from
to
this present
perspective
lenses.
differs from person to
Exactly, it's differ from the person to person. Though Gandhi was wrong when he says he mixed with politics and religion, and here inflated the Jinnah. Fine, during this non-cooperation and Khilafat movement. Exactly, and from here there was a departure of Jinnahs and Methi of this Motilal Nehru, and they resigned from the Congress. Okay, this was they principally on this. He was true, but again saying if you study this, Gandhi or the Nehru is not responsible for the
Sir,
participation
at
of
the
India.
same time, we have never seen our history.
This is
books
exactly-
giving all these details because
You
at that
can't
time,
go
Gandhi
in-
and Nehru was there, and
you know
the
this.
writers and the thinkers of that time mostly supported this.
This is
person.
again, this is perspective they are giving.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you a perspective, a balanced approach. What is this exactly is what the situation of that time was ripe to divide India, because the situation has been made worse. There is no option left with them. Okay, no option. In fact, Gandhi was not in a scene. In fact, after this, he was not having that much influence. In fact, the Nehru, in fact, everybody, listen, all those parties into this partition. How many parties were there?
Hindu Mahajan Sabha,
Mahajan, Hindu
Muslim
Mahasabha,
League,
Congress,
Congress.
Muslim League, and all other different ideologies, party, they all in favor of this exactly. Okay, so you cannot avoid this. In fact, even the Nehru didn't do much. Nobody could do exactly. It was the Mountbatten, in fact, who initiated, and many of this British policy was also responsible for example that had led to a situation from. In fact, this Jinnah has hardened their stance. You know, when we study this, Jinnah hardened their stance only after this Simla agreement was failed, because he was promised, Jinnah was promised something, it has not been delivered when this Nehru report was coming to this. And ultimately, and exactly what happened, this another party, for example, Hindu Mahasabha, they wanted exactly to divide the India. In fact, they were in no mood to settle any of these things. So at that time, situation is not, for example, this is a political stage. Here, all these powers are there. Because if you say from this, like this Nehru is only responsible for this, the Gandhi is not responsible. It's like we all are the party, we all in negotiating. They were not in mood to a united India, in fact.
Nehru was adamant. He could
Okay.
obviously resign from his post and he could.
Obviously, they all have, like, at the end, they have this political interest they have generated among them. Okay, that's the main thing. This political, ultimately, when they say India will become independent, Nehru was there,
Nehru was the
all
very
of there.
active
In
person.
fact, okay, so also this Maulana Azad was not in favor of this. Okay, he wanted a united India, but exactly it happened, and this was considered as a mistake of a Gandhi, but it's not a mistake of the Gandhi also. Gandhi did
None
nothing.
of the history books,
Many
no
of this.
one- very few people will know about these things, but it's not even mentioned in the history books that are there, right?
History books that is there, but you will study this whole, you will see this who was responsible. Nobody was responsible. The situation had made that worse. Ultimately, you have to divide the India. Otherwise, you can't compromise this. People are being slaughtered across this borders. Okay, and these two external. In fact, this shouldn't. The problem कहाँ हुई ना when we started this? Exactly this Morley Minto, from वहीं से problem start हो जाती है. Exactly, वहां से problem started, and two nation theory, again this Congress committed mistake when the Surat session on this. Okay, they shouldn't be mixed with this idea. Otherwise, they have let. Otherwise, Jinnah has written in this कि I have won this Pakistan single-handedly only with the help of my typewriter. There was no leader in the Muslim League that was influential to the status of Jinnah who can really set this whole thing. Nobody, in fact, no one wanted. Everybody's wanted what, but exactly they have political interest diverged. No,
religion difference they were actually
religion was another matter. Religion is
political
nothing.
difference, but mostly in Bengal side, that side where this political parties grown up, that side they were not in favor of dividing.
Nobody was favor him divided, but this political elites of that time they were having this
Britishers
interest.
were very
Okay, and this Jinnah wanted to do this. Any of this, like, come on, history में नहीं जाते हैं. ठीक है, fine. Come to this idea. Come on, guys. So this, however, Gandhi didn't approve this Gandhism. So Gandhism is what exactly this guy?
Non-violence where the basic idea was even if someone hits me, I'll show my other cheek instead of shooting him. That was the actual idea.
Non-violence. This is very much simplified explanation which you find, and many of this time that वो लड़का उस दिन जो बोल रहा था कि sir I don't follow, अगर कोई मुझे मैं तो अपना हाँ मैं तो लगा के दूंगा उसको. This is exactly what, but this Gandhism something bigger as this exactly. He's trying to this means and end. He was always strict whatever the consequences, but you have to follow this value-based means all the time. He was fundamentally that much strict to this. I've given you this example of this when this world was going on. This Poland has been attacked by the Germany, but that person was preaching this issue, this benefit of satyagraha to this Lilithko. Fine. So there was, so now understand. So Gandhism is what exactly that we often talk about is a body of idea, a principle that described the inspiration, vision, and the life works of the Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, at the ideational level, at the principle level, or at the practice level. Okay, you just follow the principle which has been given by the Gandhi. Or this Gandhism, when you add something, is become an ideology. So the same thing exactly, his idea, his principle, or his practices, you have to put into this. This is all about idea of Gandhism. Fine. But again, what Gandhi says about this? Okay, the term Gandhism also encompasses what Gandhi's idea, words, action means. Okay, fine. Into the realm of individual human being. Again, this Gandhi didn't approve this Gandhism. Gandhi never approved this idea of cult. This from me, in fact, when I'll die, this from onwards, from now onwards, it'll be a cult which is lead to this worshipping of the Gandhi. He never wanted this. He was just saying what exactly he didn't approve this Gandhism. He never tried to give any message, but always maintain that his life is a message. A person should be known by his action rather than his thought, and should always keep on applying, on experimenting with his belief structure through his action. Again, this will help in the real internalization and integration of the morality with the behavior. The sense of morality and the substance of the ethics are never frozen. Here is what saying, this person is saying the sense of morality and the substance of the ethics are never frozen. This is not like fixed. You have fixed this law, this is my value, and I'll stick to this. It keep on changing with the time. Okay, and this time also decide your value consciousness. Again, one should keep on experimenting in order to taste his moral and thus becoming better in the process. So in this here, that's why you given this like goat. He used to take the goat and he was having a slave with the young women. Exactly. So that person exactly is also judging or experimenting with this idea of his morality, which have to, and for that to practice his morality, he has gone to the any of this extent, which is many of these times as different thing. Come on, morality again very subjective. Okay, morality is very much subjective. Exactly, he's saying this, he has slept with this women, but he didn't do anything. But exactly what that person is, what he was trying to test his brahmacharya. He said ki unless until I test myself, how can I say exactly? So he was that much committed to his idea. He never thought ki what public would say, what others will, media will talk about, and what could be later written on me. And that's why Gandhi is great, because that person has given all the account in his life. All the account by himself he has given on this. Fine. That's why he's a great. Otherwise, all this they have shrouded a mystery on this, their personal life. Fine. So this exactly moral and thus becoming better the process. He had a self-based approach. Again, on this idea of his, he once said, there is no such thing as a Gandhism, and I don't want to leave any sect after me. Fine. I don't claim to have originated any new principle or doctrine. I have simply tried in my own way to apply the eternal truth. He was very much stick to this idea of truth. He equated this truth with the God, which you find it as the moral reasoning or this moral compasses of Gandhi exactly have originated from Bhagavad Gita. He has a very great influence of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so here is what exactly Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Satya hi Shiv hai, Shiv hi Sundar hai. Exactly his words say he's equating this idea of truthfulness or the saying truth or the truthful life with the God. Whatever you don't see, this God is a very much abstract thing. Nobody knows the God. I, me, you, nobody's know have seen the God. Every theology say their conception of God. Fine, but say you understand this value, truth exactly is same as, or this is a representation of the God in itself. Fine, in the name of Shiv. Satyam Shivam Sun. So he was very much strict to this idea of truth, this eternal truth, and he add this eternal virtue into this, or a kind of spiritual truth, eternity. Fine. To our daily life and problems, the opinion I have formed and the conclusion I have arrived, Gandhi is saying, at are not final. He also, those who are leader, who always, those who have like limited or they have stopped learning, the growth of that person has started there. The great leader or the great reformer or administrator, those person who are still learning. You know this, when this Einstein was dying, so somebody says ki you have done lots of things, you're the greatest scientist of the mankind have ever produced. So how you're feeling? He says it's still like I'm just lying, or I'm just lying on this bank of the sea, okay, on the this exactly, and it's like I have a fist of sand and I'm trying to gather it, and this all sand are this like a knowledge, and this is also slipping from mind. This much I know exactly. So he always challenged this, what exactly? Nothing is final. You're still evolving. Okay, so this person say exactly what I'm saying, this is also not final. This you have to taste your moral reasoning with a period of, you have to learn this. This learning shouldn't stop at any of the stage, and this stoppage is all about the deadness. Okay, so he's all about, again, I may change them tomorrow, I have nothing new to teach the world. The truth and non-violence are the old as the hills. He says the two basic values or the eternal values, that is what, truth and non-violence. Fine. Truth is what exactly at any of the circumstances, at any of the situation, you have to tell the truth. And this non-violence, he says exactly when he get this idea of from the Bhagavad Gita. So there's a concept in the Aham Brahmasmi. What you are, I am. Fine. It means the God. You can see the God in everyone. We all are the part of or the sub part of the God. Fine. So here, if you are hurting anyone exactly, if you are trying to dodge anyone, if you are trying to mislead anyone, it exactly is doing to whom? To the God. And we all are made from this same entity. We all have the same ansh or this part of that particular entity. So in that sense, you are also hurting. It means you are hurting Raja, for example. I mean, it means I'm not hurting you. I'm hurting myself, because we all are same. This is the card of Aham Brahmasmi. From here exactly Gandhi has derived most of its moral reasoning. So that's why Gandhi has put this more on this truth and non-violence. This is an eternal thing for the Gandhi. Fine. Again, this concept of God exactly for the Gandhism or the Gandhi, the fundamental basis of Gandhism is the conception of the God, who is self-existential, knowing living forces. This is not like a passive thing. This is what exactly is Gandhi, self-existential. उसका खुद का अस्तित्व है. Knowing living forces, and this is a living forces which inherit every other force known to the world. In fact, every force is coming or originating from this conception of the God of the Gandhi. Again, he believes in a God who is kind, responsive to the prayers of the devotee. He equated God with truth, which can be realized by spiritual experiences, pure, disciplined, holy life, and the persistent endeavors to concretize the norms of ahimsa in a one action and the motivation. So he says what exactly God is truth, and truth is what? Ultimate Brahma. Fine, ultimate Brahm. We all are same entities. So if For example, if we're trying to hurt anyone, this is like we are hurting ourselves. This is we are God. So exactly from here he equated this idea of God and truth. And here God is what exactly? A living force. A truth saying is a living force. This is not like a something which exists in the metaverse. This is a very much unpracticing thing. You are practicing truth, one violence, you are close to the God. And this exactly Gandhi has equated with this idea of spiritualism. Spiritualism is something you are strict, you have made this value truthful, you have to be truth at any of the circumstances, many of these times you are about to die, but in that situation you have to also stick to this idea of truth. Here you have to assume what God is with you. Fine. So this is exactly again Gandhi thought believed in spiritual experiences never negate the rational argument and practical observation. Again he says this belief or this conception of a God which is equated with the truth is not a kind of what, this is not only what irrational being. This you have to understood, you have to reach this level of God through rationality. You have to experiment with the truth. What is the rationality, what should be exactly? So you have to reach that level of exactly through your rational thought process. This is a very practical one. Okay, this is what exactly? Very practical one. So Gandhi's talisman, I have given you this idea. What exactly it tells? Whenever you faces a dilemma or ethical dilemma, any kind of a dilemma in your life, what should I do? You have to do that thing which really benefit to the downtrodden, to the anto there, to these people. If this action is favoring these people, this action would be upright. And exactly this is the face of what exactly? The God. This is a fine. So this is more of this practical thing for him. He claimed to be the true scientist in the sense that he constantly experiment with the truth and try to make his proposition sounder by the repeated observation. All the movement and agitation initiated by him from the Champaran to quit India were the experiment in which the norms of the faith in the God, truth, and non-violence has been shown. And fine. So this is exactly the idea of truth and the God, and truth and the God for the same for the Gandhi. Fine. हमको लगता है 8 बज गया आज. Fine. So study continue from this. मुझे बहुत गालियां सुनने को मिलती. Okay, fine, good, sweetie. Again, I haven't seen this. Good evening. Okay, this was for the today concept. Study later on this different ideas of the Gandhi, 7 sins of the Gandhi, and later thinkers and the reformer will study in this. Fine. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you.